Good. Thanks, Vern. Thanks everyone for coming out today. Yeah, just in terms of the presentation, we have it on the overhead here today, and we're happy to email it out to everybody in this room. It's also available on their website, so it's easy to access. And everything that's said here is online, so it's all open information. Yeah, we've got a great opportunity here today. The company's called OPEL Technologies. And it's a company that is involved in groundbreaking technology that's been hidden inside this company for many, many years. The chief scientist who has been developing this technology has been squirreled away at the University of Connecticut. Some people in this room have actually been down to the lab and they've seen it. Squirreled away at the University of Connecticut, and he spent the last 24 years making this technology, and it's now at a point that it can be monetized. And what's meant by that? It means that this technology inside this company, which is publicly traded on the TSX Venture Exchange and the symbol OPEL, will be sold. And it's going to be sold over the next 12 months. And the team that's here today is the team that's been put into place to do just that. That's their purpose. We have three great gentlemen here this afternoon. We have the chairman of the board, Mark Benadiba. He's sitting over here. Mark Benadiba is he's still a director of COT Beverages, New York Stock Exchange listed company. He was one of the founders of COT, and he was also the guy that COT brought in to turn the company around when it lost its focus. And he did that, and the stock went from about 70 cents to $7. So, the guy knows how to turn things around. He knows how to, more importantly, he knows how to focus a corporation. We also have Peter Copetti. He's an executive director. He'll be presenting. I'll be handing the microphone over to him a little bit later. He's the guy that came into this company, OPEL, when it was focused on solar, and solar was dragging it down. We all know the solar industry has been under hard times. He took over the reins, so to speak, he and the CEO, and they turned this around. They've sold off the solar division. They focused this company on the technology. Solar was killing the company, and it was going to drag the technology out into the hands of the creditors. He brought it back. It's cleaned up. The balance sheet is in very good shape. He's going to be presenting today. And we also have with us Lee Shepard, who's right over here. He's the Vice President of Technology, and he was brought in. He's Ottawa-based. He's a previous Nortel executive. I'll chat a little bit about that. But he was recently brought in to bridge the gap between the technology, that's the guys in the lab, and the marketplace. Right? And he has to be able to put all this into layman's terms, not just for the board of OPEL, but also for the marketplace. He also has deep contacts in the industry, in the technology industry, hardware, and also with the VCs. He'll be speaking about the technology. Just a little bit about Lee. When he was at Nortel, they brought him in to solve a technical problem that they were having with optical switch components. Anyway, he was brought in. He solved that problem, and that technology went into a product that went on to sell $9 billion worth of revenue over the course of 8 years, and he was their key guy. He was the leader of that project group. So when he sees technology that he knows will make sense in the world, he knows who to talk to and how to, I guess, get them to believe that it can be monetized as something that they need to be developing. So we're very pleased to have this company as a client. We've been involved with them since 2004. The company went public in 2006. Like I said, it's pure play technology right now. We're raising $5.5 million for them. This is the last raise. This is all the money that they need to monetize this technology. And the book's been going very, very well. We launched last week. We're about halfway through the book, and it's obviously open to all accredited investors. It's a private placement, and you can approach me afterwards if you'd like to participate. But I really got to turn this over to Peter Copetti, who's going to discuss OPEL. And so please, ladies and gentlemen, put a warm welcome together for Peter Copetti.
Lee Shepard will go through some parts of the presentation. I'm going to give you a little bit of background, what brought me into OPEL and why Mark and I decided to join OPEL. IBK approached us back in May. We were holders of the stock back then. We bought anywhere from $1 to $1.50, like some of you guys in the room may have bought. And they weren't happy with the direction of the company. And we've done turnarounds in the past. So we went in there, we did our due diligence, and I looked at the books, I looked at the numbers, and I knew we had to get rid of solar. So I came back, Mark and I came back with a plan with IBK and the CEO at the time and the president and CEO. Unfortunately couldn't be here because he has a horrible back problem right now. And we put that plan into place. And what we did over 6 months is we reduced the burn rate from about $1.2 million at the time. We're burning right now about $250,000 a month. So we have a very manageable burn rate. We were in debt for probably about $5.5 million. We negotiated with all our creditors, and we negotiated with both the secured and secured side. We have zero debt right now. We settled anywhere from 35 to 42 cents on the dollar. Most of the savings came from the unsecured side, but we had great cooperation from our secured creditors as well. So now we've got a fixed balance sheet. We've got the jettisoned solar completely out of the company. We have some legacy assets on the solar side that we deal with, but nothing that will impact the focus of the company. And what we're doing right now is we are taking Poet, and we're going to make Poet a household name. Lee Shepard, Lee Pirro, and myself were just down in San Francisco. We spent 5 days down there. Nobody knows the Poet story. And Poet, as Lee Shepard will tell you, is absolutely the holy grail of technology. It's not just one little snippet, but it covers the gamut of technology, and it is really a technology that can change how the world communicates and how we compute. I'm going to let Lee Shepard speak to the science, and then I'm going to come back and tell you why I think you should invest in the company and how we're going to sell this company. And I've been on that side of the desk because I ran money. This is a great risk-reward opportunity. We're not going to go back to the equity markets. We're firm on that. We have the feedback from companies that this is going to be sold. We're going to monetize it, and we are completely focused as a team. We've got the rifle approach, not the shotgun, and all the stuff that was there that was weighing this company down is gone. So we feel very confident about what we're doing. So in that, I'll bring up Lee Shepard, and we go through the science.
It's just going to make a bit of noise when we bring it on the gate here. So,
Lee, so here's Lee, and then I'll be back to you.
Hi folks, can you hear me okay? As Peter said, I was brought into OPEL, I guess, through personal network of contacts several months ago to have a first look at the technology. I've been involved in tech and particularly semiconductor tech since about '94, and I've looked at over the last I guess since '96 or '97 when I started working with the Nortel M&A group, looking at different technologies. I've looked at a number of companies that have attempted to do what OPEL has done in the past. That's when Peter referred to to what OPEL's doing as as an answer to one of the holy grails of the tech business. That's a very true statement. It's for a long time, a lot of money, venture capital money, private equity, and R&D dollars from established tech vendors have been spent on this idea of integrating microelectronic and optoelectronic circuits together on the same piece of semiconductor. There's a tremendous number of advantages that can bring at the system level, whether you're designing a phone or an optical system or a video conferencing system. Anything that involves optics and electronics you can do more cheaply with this kind of technology.
So there's nothing in the world that solve this problem yet?
There are a number of things in the world that have solved a little bit of the problem, to my knowledge, there have been at least 30 companies received some level of funding to pursue this kind of idea, starting probably 20 years ago. So over the last 20 years, I've seen about 30 companies in this space, some of which I followed for a while, come and go. because everyone understood the value proposition, that it was a worthwhile effort. And one of those things, you know what you want, but then when you start working on it, you realize, wow, this isn't a 3-year job or a 5-year job or a 7-year job. As it turns out in this case, it's, well, Jeff Taylor and his team are in their 24th year of work on the technology, and we're finally at the point where it's ready to bring to the world. I think there's been a lot of interest, as I said, for a long time in this kind of technology, and there's been a large number of examples of companies and investors that underestimated the magnitude of the technical task, particularly the time frames. The classic scenario in this space was some of the folks that, as you pointed out, solved some of the problem, but not most of it, is that they accepted money in the VC community, typically money with a 5 to 7 year investment horizon, which, based on our evidence and based on I think OPEL's success and many other potential competitors' failure, it wasn't a 5 or 7 year job. It really was a 2 decades plus job. So OPEL, or the OPEL management team, Jeff Taylor and some of his key guys, they found a way to keep going, to own their technology, keep ownership of it, and keep developing it over this time frame that's longer than any individual investor's time frame. And the way they really did that was they were able to get funding from what I would call pure research sources. The U.S. defense sector has bankrolled most of Jeff's work over the last I think they started funding him in about '94 with different research grants from NASA, Air Force Research Lab, different parts of what Eisenhower would have called the military-industrial complex. And they have a lot of interest in this technology and have for a long time. So based on their long-term interest in it, Jeff was able to stay away from venture capitalists and other folks with a short time horizon until he got to the point where, well, now it's time to complete the development of our samples and prototypes and bring this to the world. So we're finally at that stage, and I think what was different about OPEL and the other 30 companies or so that I've looked at since I think the first company working on this kind of problem I looked at in '95. What really is different is that Jeff did this in a very different way. Organizationally, his technical approach, instead of developing a little piece of the solution and then trying to run to end user markets with that, he actually stood back and said, what do you need to answer the whole question? The classic example here would be that somebody would generate a great optical technology that was terrible at electronics, or vice versa. And Jeff, I think, due to his experience, realized that there were a number of key elements that all needed to be in place for any of it to be a success. And he was able to, I guess, brought the discipline to the effort and frankly, the long attention span. By the time we have this company sold, he'll have been in it 25 years, or been on this technical problem for 25 years.
I was in Chicago in the early 80s, that gallium arsenide was the answer to the world's problem with semiconductors.
Well, I think we're finally to the point where we can demonstrate that. Gallium arsenide is the semiconductor material that OPEL technology works in. It's a bit disingenuous to talk about it as a gallium arsenide technology, though, because gallium arsenide today and for the last 30 years has been a very specialized semiconductor material, basically only used where nothing else would work. It's used for certain high-speed optical and electronic components, but no one has ever tried to build any significantly integrated circuit out of gallium arsenide. And there were some technical reasons why that couldn't happen. And Jeff has systematically knocked off those technical issues. Now we're in a position where gallium arsenide, or the historical benefits of gallium arsenide are still there. But the real strength of this is that, from my perspective, this is a replacement for silicon CMOS.